making some bread because I only have English muffins, and I'm going to be making waffles later and breakfast sausages for dinner today. But we're making sweet potato cornmeal sandwich loaves. All right. Now you're going to need 1.5 cups of mashed sweet potatoes. So you're going to have to peel them. I have mine on now. Do not put salt in the water because that will draw the sweetness out, and that's not what we want. We want to actually use it. And you're not going to be throwing all the liquid out because we need it. Of course, I'm going to save all the liquid because that I'm prone to, because I'm going to use it again. All right. So in a small saucepan, we're going to have to add 1/4 of a cup of sugar. This is going in a saucepan, so let me get you over here so you can see what I'm doing. I have a saucepan back here. I'm going to add a cup of sugar, salt. They want 1.5 teaspoons of salt, but they are specific about what kind of salt. They want what you call coarse salt. Coarse, they used to call it kosher salt, and that's how we knew it. But now they're changing the name and calling it coarse salt. So when you see coarse, good morning, Jane. So you mean they want kosher salt. So if you see coarse salt, it will always relate to kosher salt. All right, we need 1.5 teaspoons added with the sugar in the saucepan. Remember, I've already explained to you that salts have different level of saltiness, believe it or not. That's why they're specific about certain salts that you use. Okay. I just spilled some oil on the floor. That's almost as bad as walking on ice. All right, and you're going to need 1 cup of milk to go with your sugar and salt, and then we're going to heat it up to a boil. Okay. I have my yams, which most people know as sweet potatoes, but they aren't. Sorry. Good morning. Jaw, good morning. Alex, good morning. I'm making some bread, and it's called sweet potato cornmeal sandwich loaves. And that's what we're having today. I need some bread in the house, and I figured that this is different, so why not? So we're going to bring this sugar, salt, and milk to a boil. Now we have to keep stirring this, because if you do not, the sugar is going to burn on the bottom. So until you don't feel it on the bottom anymore, you just keep on stirring to keep it from burning. Sugar is like that. That's something we have to do. I know it does sound good, sorry, doesn't it? I'm trying to turn you in the same spot because I've got a lot going on. But today for dinner, we're going to have waffles. I'm going to make an oat, maybe an oat with nuts waffles today. And I have some applesauce that I think would go nice with it. And the breakfast sausage that I showed you how to make. I don't have something to clamp my stuffer to, so I can't stuff them, so we'll be making patties out of them. Auto not working. What do you mean auto's not working? Hold on. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm oat. And I'm going to put nuts with it. I'm thinking of using mixed nuts and oats and making waffles with that so we get different flavors. Good morning, Salvador Sosa. Good morning. I'm trying to get everybody. Louie, Alex. It's just that this thing starts moving real fast and I can't catch everybody. So if I miss you, I'm still wishing all of you good morning. Good morning, Bailey. I think you like that red microwave, Bailey. Jane. So thank you. It sounds good. And I have jars of mixed nuts because I can them. I had to buy a lot of different nuts to get them canned. And I canned them and I got them in the pantry. So when I'm done doing this, I'll close this video down, get stuff together, and I'll start cooking and getting that for lunch today. Right now we're making sweet potato cornmeal sandwich loaf. That's why we're doing this right now. And we have to have, you have yams, you need 1.5 cups mashed. Do not add salt to the water. Okay? I think the sugar's all melted. I hear very little at the bottom. You can actually feel it. Thank you. There goes your name. I didn't have time. Yeah, this is a cookbook I have right here, but I'm going to change the recipe around because I think I'll make it better. That's always me. I'm always going to think of, my whole thing is really to make it more nutritious. This is why I change all these recipes and then I make my own as well. You don't think 2,900 and plus are enough recipes? You're as bad as I am, Justin. Yeah, this is just one of 200 cookbooks I have. And then I have my own as well. And then in my own that I create, my friends also share their recipes with me. They say, hey, have you ever tried this? And I'll look at the recipe and say, how can I make this more nutritious? How can I turn it around so we get more out of the food? And this is what I spend my time doing. And so I could be crocheting or sewing or something, and all of a sudden it'll come across my head, try this with this, and I'll do it. And thank you just for subscribing. Okay, I don't feel the sugar anymore. Now they want me to bring this to a boil. Don't burn your milk. Milk burns very, very easy. Okay, they're done. It's going to get a little crazy. You're going to say that's a lot of steps, but sometimes when you do things, you have to do extra steps. Always remember that. Don't be afraid of it. Just accept it. And I boiled all the yams I had left because I had already used a lot of them, so I know I have more than I need, but I can use them for other things. I can even make rolls with it. Okay. Okay, Sandra. You're gonna need that water. Okay. Okay, turn your milk off. Where did I put it? We're going to leave that milk a bit to cool. We're going to need some of this water. That's why I told you not to add salt into it. And the rest I will put in the refrigerator, and I'll use it to make breads and things. See, when I talk with you, I don't bring everything out. But that's all right. That's me. The only thing we're going to do is mash this. We're not adding anything to this. But I do have to admit the sweet yams muffins were delicious. It's just like having autumn. Okay, we got that done. Yeah, I know everything's going everywhere. That's exactly how I'm going to do it. Okay. All right, we have the milk, the sugar, and the salt. Let me bring the pad back. Let's move the bowl again. All right, you're going to need 1 stick of butter, and you need to cut it and put it in here and melt in this hot milk. And they want you to stir it around until melted. And I'm leaving it in the pot. If the pot's hot enough, it'll help melt the butter. Like I always state, I'm going to change recipes left and right. And sometimes I'm sitting there trying to figure out a recipe that I'd like to make, and why not try it? Women used to be very creative in the kitchen. Now they depend upon chefs to tell them. And one person said that they went to culinary school, and she's asking me. So it's evident they're not teaching them really everything they should know. I've spent a lifetime learning. Even when I thought I knew everything, something else came up and I had to learn that as well. There are some phrases that I don't use in cooking because I don't have anything that it goes with. I'm sorry, you must be hungry. Hi, Cope. Oh, God. Hello, Derek. All right, we have to melt this. Baron, hello from Ohio. Good morning. Hi, Derek. Matthew, good morning, all of you. Now we're going to stir this around and try to get all this butter melted. All right, so we're going to put it over here on the burner. Now we're at this part. All right, you need 1/4 of a cup. Now they want, I'm going to show you how I do this. They want 1/4 of a cup of water. I'm not using that. I'm going to use, yes it is. Thanks, James from Texas. All right, instead of using water, I'm using the water I cook the yams in, which is going to give it more of the flavor that I'm looking for. It'll be richer in the food, plus nutrients. And will I throw the rest of it out after this? No, I'm going to put it to the side. Potato water, this water, or what you call sweet potato water, is very good for breads. Yeast love it. I mean, give them what they love and you'll get some good loaves. You can use it for your biscuits if you wish to be different. There's just so much you can do. But they've convinced everybody you have to follow and do this. If you've ever watched a chef, They do not stave it. They'll buy their stocks or make stocks and stuff. But for you, they'll say, add water. Isn't that interesting? You'd be surprised some of the stuff that you learn. Okay. I'm still trying to make my yeast. Hasn't worked yet. I checked it this morning. South Africa vodka. Oh my God. From Pennsylvania, Summer. Hi. I'm getting around. Okay. Okay, my bowl's cold, so I'm going to go ahead and add the yeast to this. If the water is hot, hotter than your hand, your wrist, it's going to kill the yeast, okay? If it's too cold, it's not going to go. This is just fine. My bowl's cold. That was hot. Put it together. It's warm. I got it right where I need it. All right. You need 2 packages of yeast. Now, if you have yeast like this, it's 2 1/4 teaspoons mixed on the packet. If you buy it by the packet, fine. Remember, keep this next to your butter in the next to your butter compartment in your refrigerator. It's just the right temperature. Do not put it in the freezer. It will die. Leaving it out, it will go bad. Also, check those expiration dates. They go. Because this is alive. Just because it's dry does not mean this is not alive. It's very much alive. Sorry. Well, then maybe you should join me at 3 Eastern Standard Time in America. That's where New York is. And we're going to be making biscuits, and you can learn to make biscuits. Today, I'm going to put out everything that you need. I've already repeated it a couple of times. I'll repeat it again. It'll be a special one, what you need, because I've opened another level on my channel, which is Come Cook With Me. No, it's not. Forgive me. The third level is called, oh my, looks delicious. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, I know the Beach Boys very well. That's my time frame. Every time I hear it, I think of my older brother when he was washing the cars. We had a car because he had his driver's license. My parents had a car, and the truck came from the Singer company. All right, so we're dissolving the yeast in this. I've already done that. I'm not going to do it again. All right. Now we have to wait for this to get just to the right temperature so we can add it. We have to wait for those potatoes to cool a bit because we'll kill this yeast. Everything's at a waiting point. Hi, Big. Northeast. So today I will be doing a video. I'm not going to be doing a live. I'm going to give all the information for anybody who wants to come cook with me, and we'll be making butter biscuits. I've seen a lot of people, they'll sit there and say, you put your dry ingredients, but they never tell you what the dry ingredients are. Then I see other ones who say, oh, just use a handful, do this, do that. It doesn't work. In baking, everything has to be measured out. Bread, you can get away with a little bit on the measurements, but when it comes to biscuits, when it comes to muffins, scones, and everything like that, you need an exact measurement to get to the flavor that you're looking for. Yes, in the USA. Oh, you're a young man, James, at 38. But if you have a lady in your home, a mate, I should say, then she should be knowing how to do this. Another thing is, I remember when Pepperidge Farm came out, not yet, we're almost there, and they would sit there, and they were the ones that came out with frozen rolls. I don't know if they still do this anymore, but they came out. My mother used to make rolls, and when Pepperidge Farm came out, she quit making rolls. Everybody made bread, and then they had Wonder Bread, and then my mother quit making bread, but I didn't. Okay, sorry. Take care. I live in America. Big. We're just trying to cool this down when you stir it. It usually cools down much faster. If you just leave it, it doesn't work. It takes longer. Now, give me a minute. I want to get a glass of water. Now, see, I have lipstick on. That's how your glasses should do. We had to learn how to actually put lipstick on and not leave it on a glass. Oh, it'd be nice to hear nice music. Even the big band was nice too. Derek. You will learn, James. It will be done at 3 p.m. on Sunday. I'm sorry, it's Super Bowl. I did not know that at the time. I was trying to figure a time everyone could be around. And so I figured at that time, the ratios and everything will be given out. Why? How you measure properly to make sure things come out right. Because if you don't measure out right, so you'll be getting the equipment you need, what we need to make them. Then we'll bake them together. And then I'll try mine. And then I want you to try yours and tell me how yours is. The only difference is that I'm going to be making a light whole wheat. If you like to make light whole wheat, you're going to have to buy some whole wheat flour. But it's going to be the same ratios, except that I'm going to just make mine light whole wheat. So you'll see the video today. Look for the video, and it'll be, what should we call the video? Things that you need to make biscuits. Something like that, but you'll see it today, this afternoon sometime. Okay, see you there. My team's not even there. I love the Dallas Cowboys and I love the Green Bay Packers. Do any of you know why we have a Super Bowl? I was a little girl when they did their first Super Bowl. See, you had the NFL and the AFL. And when they got done doing theirs, you'd have the top team over here and you had the top team over here. And they would always brag accordingly that they were the best. So the only way they could do this was to sit there and they said, well, we'll make a Super Bowl. So the top NFL and then the top AFL, they would play, and that's your Super Bowl game. And I remember when it started. Hello, Brooklyn. This is taking a little longer than I want. Let's get the yams. You need 1.5 cups of yams, mashed. Of course, they call them sweet potatoes, but the real name for them is yams. The sweet potato is a West Indian potato, and it's sweet. It's the only thing I have to cook with salt. Very frustrating. All right, this is a 1 cup measure, so we'll just go a little higher than that, and that should cover 1.5 cups. Really measure out properly. Don't listen to me on this one. This part. Yeah, that's about, I'd say, yeah, that's about 1.5 cups. Everything's hot, and I need it to cool down is what I need it to do. This is too hot. Okay. This is what I'm waiting for. Or I'll kill my yeast. And you can see the yeast is starting to rise right there. We're making some bread. We're making sweet potato cornmeal sandwich loaf. I need some bread in the house. I just took some rye sourdough English muffins out. My family had a field day on it. There's only one left. So I have to make, when you're a good baker, what can I say? All right, come on, we're waiting for all of you. I can't do anything, I'm stuck. Okay. I keep stirring and we're gonna wait. So we're making bread, but later on today, after this, I have a few things I have to do before I can do this. We're gonna make, I was thinking of using mixed nuts and oat bran and making waffles. And we're going to have breakfast sausage. I already showed you how to make your own breakfast sausage. The only thing is I can't stuff it because I have no place to clamp it to. So they make these counters with just a little, it's just not enough to grip. Yes, Savior, yes. And so we're just waiting. The yeast is really doing good. This is too warm. This is too warm. I'm trying to cool it down in a hurry. I think you're being a little... Oh, thank you. In the United Kingdom, we're all the way over there. Okay. We're going to pour our milk mixture in here. You can see the yeast is really doing a good job. You're probably saying, I can't see zip. Well, I'm getting there. When I turn you down, I'm not going to be able to read a lot of your messages. Okay. How much flour do you want? Okay. What about the cornmeal? Hold on. I got to see when I put the cornmeal in this. All right, we need 1 cup of cornmeal. I'm using yellow. They don't say what color. I know this isn't hot. Now you saw how I shook that? That's only because I'm making bread. Any other time, you have to level it off with your hand and you don't shake it or you'll mess it up. Take it from me. All right. Okay, I think we can add this now. Yeah, that's fine. And 1.5 cups of mashed yams. What else do we have to add? Okay, I think I'm ready now to do the flour. That's it, Sandra. Wet your books. Pages will stick together like glue. Now, I'm always going to add some whole wheat. So I'm going to use 1/2 cup of whole wheat and the rest will be all-purpose flour. But I'm going to get these B vitamins in here. Now, when you make bread, bread is not exact science. Sometimes it takes less. The weather actually dictates how it comes out in that aspect, how much you're going to use or not use. If it's damp, you're going to take more because it's going to pull it out of the air as well. If it's dry, you're pretty close. You're going to be on the same amount that the recipe says, but you will never, ever add more than 1/4 more. I've learned that. Okay. I'm going to add a cup of flour here. Be adding a cup or a half a cup at a time. You can see it's going to be a beautiful golden color. Add another cup. If you add all the flour at once, it won't mix. This is why we do it this way. It's been a well-established fact. So now they're doing everything different. They take you right to the edge, and sometimes it's like mayonnaise, making mayonnaise. There's no binder in them, so if you make any of the mayonnaise that the chefs make, they're going to fall apart. They're not going to hold. You couldn't take them to a picnic. You have to keep them in the refrigerator, or you have to serve it right away because it's going to separate. All right, we're adding a half a cup now because it's getting thicker. But we're going to work up to where we have to go. Because all total right now I've added 3 cups. And I added just enough whole wheat to make sure we get those B vitamins, but it won't interfere. Oh, shoot. By the way, men, if you didn't know this, you're better at making bread than women because you're stronger. You can get the bread to rise easier. We have to work harder. This is why they make heavy-duty mixers, a cheating way, so they can make bread good. There are some breads that fight you when you're trying to do them. Now we're going to put a cup here. This is going to make 2 or 3 loaves. I think it makes 2 loaves. I'm not sure. No, I didn't read to see how many loaves. Now, the reason we didn't use too much cornmeal is the bread wouldn't hold together, but we wanted to get the flavor of it. When you measure, you're supposed to measure level, and you cannot use a liquid measurer for dry ingredients because you will shake it, and when you shake it down to level it off, you've added more and unbalanced the ratio of the liquid to the dry. This is why they give you 2 different measurements. To measure with. Because I remember when I only had liquid measuring cups, and I was making biscuits, and I had to shake it down, and my husband couldn't understand why my biscuits were heavy. I said, I don't have the right measuring cups. So he looked for them and brought them in for me. And he realized I needed certain things, and he went out of his way to do it for me. I didn't have to ask after that. Now, kneading, if you notice, I do a quarter turn, bring this over, and I push away. That is the actual motion of kneading. Though you see me do other things with it, that is the motion. And you push the flour away, but you keep on kneading it and bring it back in. I'm adding another half cup. This is about 15 minutes worth of doing this. If you have a heavy-duty mixer, if you wish to do it in your mixer, make sure that you use the bread attachment. You don't want to mess it up. If it's not a heavy-duty, do not use it. You will break it. I have a KitchenAid, which is a heavy-duty one. And how long do you need till it's smooth and elastic? I'll show you so you'll have an idea. If you've never made bread, at least when I go to show you to make bread, you'll have a better idea, and you can come cook with me and we'll make bread. Some things that take rising and stuff will have more than one part to it, because we can't, sit and talk for over an hour waiting for something to rise. Now, I do know that cookbooks come in different grades of cooking. If you know what you're doing, you'll end it, because some chefs do not give all the steps A, B, C. They leave it out, assuming that you already know it. And then you have other recipe cookbooks that are easier. They walk you through it. And then you have magazines with recipes, and they take these expensive recipes and they make them cheaper. for people who can't afford to buy cookbooks, but magazines are cheaper. And I'm not talking off the cuff of my head either. As you can see, it's coming out very nice and smooth. That's why you do all this kneading. And it's still tacky, so we've got to add more. Don't worry, we're coming down to the end of the flour. See, when it still sticks, I know I need to add more flour. But it's getting very smooth and elastic. If you don't knead it long enough, the bread doesn't rise as well as you're looking for it, and the loaf is heavier, not well blended. The yeast will take longer to rise. I wonder how this would go with grilled ham and cheese. Making sandwiches out, grilled sandwiches out of this. I might try. Okay, just about worked it all in. This is what they want. It's called smooth and elastic. You see that? That's what they're looking for. Okay, take this out before I forget it. Let me clean my bowl, and I will be back. Oh, by the way, we had a heat spell yesterday. We were above 32. We actually saw 36 yesterday. I was surprised. My sons called me, let me know, it's warm. I said, how warm? Single still? Because they saw the weather faster than I did. I said, no, we saw 36. We're above freezing. I was happy to hear that. Dry it out, and then we'll get the oil for it and we'll move forward. I have you turned down a lot, so I can't really see what you're writing. I'll be there in a minute. Put some oil into the bowl. Now, because this is not a sourdough, we have to cover this to rise. Make sure you grease all the way up because the yeast is going to rise. And sometimes it gets carried away. You find it all the way at the top. Put it down, twist it because you're coating the top of it, and then you're going to flip it over. This will keep it from drying out. Okay? Put some towels on it, and we're going to let this rise. I'll take this dirty towel and use these instead of, I have a lot of them. Okay. And now we have to wait for this to rise. There's nothing else we can do. Just sit and wait. Okay. Let me see what you wrote. I'm sure I'm going to miss some of these messages. Good morning, Snacky. Trap, thank you. Okay, so that is pretty much it for part 1 on this, other than cleaning your mess up. And that's how you start to make bread. And yes, I have made a mess that I've got to clean up. That's another thing. If you have a dirty work area, you have more prone to getting hurt and knocking things over. Yeah, that's true. Okay, Adrian. Good morning, Andy from India. Snacky, happy birthday. Listen, everybody, shouldn't we say happy birthday to Snacky? So, Snacky, I hope they all wish you a happy birthday and have a great day today. Okay. I need some more flour in my flour container. You're very welcome, Snacky. How old are you? Okay. All right, Sandra. Put it on something. Okay. Hi, T-subs. And good morning to Spain. Okay. Not ready to do the other thing. I'm going to have some coffee this morning. That I do want this morning. I'm not hungry to eat, but I'd like some coffee this morning. Good morning, Mary. How are you? So let's see, we're in February. Doesn't that make you an Aquarius, Snacky? Yeah, we should be in the Aquarius season. Jen, good morning. I have to clean this because I don't want it on the stove. Clean up the dough to stick. This morning we're making, what did I tell everybody what it was? Sweet potato cornmeal sandwich loaf is what we're making. I'm making myself some coffee right now. But dinner today, we're going to have waffles, oat waffles, and I want to chop up some mixed nuts that I canned to go with it. I think would be nice to be different. It does. Oh, I beat you by 15 years, Adrian. Yeah, I'm ahead of you. 8, 9, 10, 11. No, yeah, about 15 years, just about. Because I'm 73. So you were actually a hippie baby. It does sound interesting, but I'm thinking that maybe I should hold one of the loaves and then make grilled ham and cheese with it and see how it comes out. I think that would be interesting to try to do that, you know. Did you hear what the young people have to do? They have to work till they're 70 something before they can get their Social Security. Oh, I'm always up like this, A1. Unless I'm sick, and I can't, and I have a severe headache, but I don't get headaches anymore, which is such a nice thing. Eating healthy has kept my headaches away and pain and all the stuff, so I'm happy. I have some friends who have kidneys and thyroids and some real medical issues, and I try to look up to see what it is that they need. And the one thing it does state that some of these organs actually need everything, so I always try to range, don't get me started. I love maple syrup. No, actually, well, if you have a toothache, that is usually because you're not getting enough minerals, because your bones, your teeth are bones. So if you have toothaches and you get cavities and stuff, you can imagine what your bones look like. That's because you're not getting it. I make sure I use bone broth all the time, and not the one you buy in the store. I make my own. Derek, you're fine. Headaches, they haven't explained what headaches are. Well, they don't know what causes headaches, but it seems to be some malnutrition imbalance which causes it. Earaches are the same. Usually a ringing in the ear is not magnesium, it's manganese, which is a mineral you need. So it seems that the headaches and the earaches and tooth enamel problems, or toothaches if you wish, this is all minerals deficiency. If you drink or take illegal drugs, even subscription drugs, they just keep the minerals from coming into your system. They actually block it. Oh, to have cream of wheat with maple syrup is delicious. I agree with you, Adrian. Okay, so if you have that problem, Adrian, you're not getting your minerals. And I've shown you how to make bone broth. I've talked about it. You go to a butcher, they're going to charge you for it. It's not real expensive, but get them to cut the bones down, a good size that can fit in a pressure cooker, not a canner. I'm talking about a cooker. a pressure cooker, and you put the bones in there, and you sit there and you fill it up as high as you can. Bring the pressure up and cook it for 2 hours. Release the pressure because you have to check the water. The water will evaporate, and you fill it back up again, and you do this about 3 times. After the 3rd time, take a knife. I know it sounds stupid. You take a knife. If you can go through that bone like this, you've cooked all the minerals out. Then all what you have to do is strain it through a towel and a strainer, because you want to catch all the particles. You've cooked all the minerals out, and then you, if you can, women who can, you can can this like you would stock. But if you don't, you can put it into a jar, and you can sit there, and every time you make soup, broth, gravy, or if you're achy or headachy or something, just warm up a cup, add some salt or pepper for flavoring, and go ahead and drink it. I know a man who couldn't even move, that hurt so bad, and his wife has informed me he's finally getting up and around, Sandy, and she's so happy. I mean, he's not running because he's only been on it like 6 months, but that's the problem. If you have earaches and stuff like that, headaches, toothaches, this is all your minerals. You're not getting them. It's not in the food, and your body's not breaking it down. Okay? So I hope that helps, and that's why you're having a problem. But remember, if you drink liquor, if you take illegal drugs or prescriptions, this is going to happen, and there's nothing you can do. You're just diminishing your bodies. Now, they say women end up with arthritis, brittle bones, the hips are going to break, all of this because of menopause. No, it's not menopause. What it is you have not eaten well throughout your life. You've drunk, you've partied, you've done everything that you wanted to do, and you were too lazy to cook, so you sit there and you buy the pre-made foods and stuff, and they're causing an imbalance in your body, and then you end up like that. I went through menopause one day, okay, and that was it. And I don't have arthritis. I'm still moving around. I still pick up heavy things and all, and people are saying, if you fall, you'll break your hip. I fell and hit my face, and these fingers went back. Yeah, they went way back, and they did hurt. I had to pull them and snap them forward again so I could use my hand, and I thought I was going to end up with a big bruise on my face here. 0. And yet I was doing videos, and I had told you guys I had fallen. Yes, I was thinking about making a meatloaf, Beth. Oh, enjoy it. Maple donuts are good. I do not know how to make tamales. Sorry, Gallard. Okay, I'm waiting for my coffee now. So think of your life and what you've done. If you look in that mirror and you see yourself aging by the time you're 40, or you find yourself in a walker. My son went to the doctor for a checkup. He said, Mommy, I saw a 35-year-old. She's in a walker, severe arthritis. And I said, well, she did what she wanted to do. And she doesn't want to listen. She didn't. I mean, I'm 73 and I still drink milk. Now they're telling you milk is bad for you. Everybody's trying to tell everybody what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can show you. You can see my body. You see my face. You can see my hands and working. And if that doesn't tell you nutrition works, then it never will. And then all what you'll say is, oh, she's lucky. No, I wasn't lucky. I worked at this very hard to get where I'm at. You've never had? Oh, okay. Thank you. I gotta go get my cup of sausage. See, doctors are quick to blame everything on everything. I have no idea, Gallard or Adrian. I have no idea. I don't even know how you guys can type with 2 fingers on a phone. I use 1 finger and type very slowly. I can type on a typewriter, but I cannot type on a phone. I mean, I see my sons and I see people in there go, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, Adrian, thank you for explaining it. Does melatonin work? If it's a medicine, I don't know. I know that I have a son who gets earaches. He has them only if the temperature goes down to 0. Yeah, we'll be having meatloaves soon. The thing is that he just increases, he knows he's getting all the minerals, but he needs extra of manganese. So he takes an extra set. So when he takes breakfast and his vitamins, he adds extra during the winter when the temperatures drop, and it draws the fluid out of his ear and he doesn't get the earaches and stuff. Yeah, I need a big keyboard. All right, I need a typewriter, all right? My fingers do not go on those little ding, 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 ding. I hit 1 and I hit 2 of them. By a younger turkey. If you wish a meatloaf, just keep on watching. I'm not making it today, no. I might make an Italian meatloaf, which I like. Maybe a plain one, I don't know yet. But meatloafs last a while. I have no problem sleeping. You want to sleep and really sleep? Number 1, don't have liquor before you go to bed. Eat 5 hours before you go to bed. And if you still can't sleep, because those 2 things actually shoot your sugar up so you can't get into REM and get a good night's rest, you sit there and get calcium, magnesium, and make sure the ratio is 500 milligrams of calcium, 250 of magnesium. That's the ratio. It's a 2 to 1. Take a couple of those and go to bed. After about a week of doing that, you'll crash. Oh, okay. I've never made it with cream cheese. That would be first for me. Okay. Oh, Jesus. This bread's going to rise faster than I want it to. I have not done my dishes yet. Every Italian makes meatloaf different, so don't get excited. It might not go for you. Well, I didn't before I met my husband. After I met my husband, after drinking, I think a pail of water from the faucet on my first hot curry. I've learned to handle spicy food. But boy, the first time I had that, it smelled so good. I said, "Oh, this is good." She made, I think it was not shrimp curry. Which curry did she? She made a curry. She was West Indian. Let me get my stuff together. I gotta take care of my yeast. bring Sandy to dinner. I said, okay. Now you have to realize black pepper was as hot as my father would have in the house. My father would have jalapenos, but he didn't want us to have the hot peppers. Okay, so you have to understand that's how I grew up. So when she invited me to dinner, we had curry. I had never had curry in my life. She had made ginger beer. She had plantains. She had some other vegetables. I don't know what she had. And she had this curry dish. Oh my God. It smelled delicious. And for dessert was coconut bread. And she said, you drink tea? I said, no, I have milk. So he had to go, she sent my father-in-law to the store to pick up milk because I was the milk drinker. I am from America. Anyway, so I'm sitting between Richard and Tony. We're all sitting at the table. And then they had this hot sauce. Tony had it, and I said, oh, can I have some of that? And Tony bypassed me and gave it to Richard. And I'm saying, why can't he? He said, don't worry, but that smells good. He said, don't worry about it. Well, anyway, I was hungry. I had not eaten, so when I'm hungry, get out of my way. I'm going to eat. I took a big mouthful. All what I remember is every fire alarm went off in my mouth. I broke out with a bead of sweat. My face turned red. I ran to the sink. I couldn't get a glass of water down me. I just stuck my mouth to the faucet of cold water and I drank and drank and drank and drank and drank and drank. I just was putting water, just get the heat out of my mouth. And she said, I said, listen, that is good, but that is like super, super hot. So I did not finish eating dinner. That was it. I ate my vegetables very carefully, made sure I kept the peas and rice and the hot food to the side. And then when dessert came around, it smelled good, but at that point I was not touching it until Tony told me it was sweet and I could handle it. Well, I found out that she had questioned him and said, Sandy's Italian, she should know hot peppers. Her father didn't allow it, Mama. She only knows black pepper. So that was my introduction into learning about hot peppers, and my husband taught me how to eat hot peppers and cook with them. Sometimes I mess up, but I'm pretty good at it. Yes, Hess, he is. I cook this way. I don't do instant foods, okay? Pretty if you like it or not. Nobody told me that, Gallagher. Breakfast? No, that was a dinner I went to, man. Kept me going. And then I thought I got past the hot pepper. So we spent the afternoon there. Oh my God, by 3 o'clock, I had cramps. I was sick. I said, Tony, you got to take me home. I really, really don't feel good. It tore me up the first time I had it. And so he would use like a fourth in the curries and everything. And he slowly brought it to a point that I could eat it. And I learned. Yes, I love spaghetti. Breakfast, I'm not hungry this morning. I'm just having coffee for breakfast. All right. Yeah, I talk about the incidents of growing up. Believe you me, we all go through. Chevy? Okay. Oh, I got too much of this. We'll have to put it in this side. Okay. See, when these jars get too high on my sourdough culture, I'm going to throw it in my discard. No, I grew up in the country. Oh. Well, that's okay. Listen, things are not always the way that young people think they are, and they've always been this way. No, it wasn't like that. There's no place to hide when it comes to small towns. And you city people think us country children cannot get in trouble. We get in more trouble than you realize. Correct. Yeah. That is true, Beth. We always think we know everything, and then we find out, no, we don't know zip. But I did learn recently, I did not know there were so many peppers. We have white pepper, black pepper, green pepper, we have pink and red pepper. And I said, I didn't know there were that many peppercorns. So I proceeded to try them all individually. Nothing else, just ground them up and tried them. And I learned, well, they're all different. The red ones are hot very, very fast. The green ones sneak up on you. You think you're doing really well, and then it sneaks up on you. You don't expect the heat because you've been chewing it for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, fire! The red ones, as soon as it hits your mouth, it's like, oh my God. All right, this one's done. Bell peppers are nice. What I am stirring and mixing is I'm feeding my cultures. I just finished my liquid culture. I have my sponge culture. These are my sourdough cultures I feed every day. And then I'm trying to make yeast in the refrigerator. They still smell like apples. Okay. And this is my discard. I don't feed this at all. I just beat it up. Well, if you think about it, you buy the instant food, you're not cooking anything. And if you mix instant food together, you're still not cooking anything. You know? Okay. Oh God, yeah, I can just imagine. Okay, get rid of these. The bread is rising very well. buying fresh okras. I will buy frozen okras. I'll buy, my hands are cold now because I just came out of the refrigerator. And I'll buy frozen peas because I like to make peas and carrots. The reason they cut the carrots so small is the peas cook fast and the carrots take longer. I like to have the bigger chunks of the carrots. I'll cook them till they're just about done. Then I add the peas in, and in about 2 minutes the peas are done, and then it's really fresh. There's no such thing as soul food. Whites would say that to separate, saying, well, blacks eat collard greens, so we are not going to eat collard greens, so we call that soul food. They say sweet potato pie. They couldn't get the pumpkin, so they used yams and called it sweet potato pie. And they say that's soul food. It was a way of separating blacks from whites. So I don't accept that. People just cook differently, use different things. I mean, my husband wouldn't touch collard greens for a long time because he said it was, remember, my husband's West Indian. He said that is nigger food. And I said, no, Tony. He wouldn't even eat watermelon for a long time. I said, Tony, my God, my girlfriends and I used to sit down and get the watermelons from the backyard and eat them. You know, so he had to overcome his prejudice as well. Yeah. So I don't believe in soul food. I believe it's all American food. If you're in America, I'll go to a restaurant as long as they're a good cook. I have no problems with that. Yellow peppers are sweet. Yeah, I could understand. I don't. The freezer section, I usually just pick up frozen orange juice. In the dairy, because I'll pick up sour cream, cheese if I need it, heavy cream, eggs, milk. If I make the other stuff. There's no such thing as a simple man, believe you me. I think all of us are very complicated. It just depends upon if somebody wishes to learn. I look at myself as a simple person, and people say, no, you aren't. But that's how I perceive myself. Let me see how this bread is really rising very nicely. It's almost double. Let me see how many loaves I'm going to be making. What size? You want it? I think I'm going to need large. All right. 8 inches wide. 8 by 4. Okay. We're going to be kneading this. It looks like it's going to be one long video. Okay. Thank you. Guess what I did? I broke one of my teacups. I yell at my sons, don't you touch this dish set. If you break it, and I went and did it myself. Okay. All right, I need to go get a spoon. This lard is frozen that I made. No, I don't put it in the freezer. That's the refrigerator, and that's what I did to my lard that I made. Oh, pineapple jam sounds very good. Salt to taste. Bull it is. I enjoy crafting. I love animals. I love a garden. Everybody eats my garden but me. And I like cooking. Let's say I just love being a woman and what women do. Not what they do today. I disagree with a lot of that. Sorry. I think that well, there's a lot of insanity going on right now. I was raised, this is hitting a very sensitive topic. I believe life is very precious. All life. I think people who don't care about life and destroy it must really hate God and not believe in Him to do that. That's why I can't kill. And my father used to say, but you eat the meat. I said, yeah, well, it's dead. It left the body, so it's not there anymore. The life isn't there anymore. My father couldn't understand it. He said, Sandy, you will starve to death if anything happens. And I said, well, then I'll starve to death. I just don't have the heart. I had to do it one time, and I prayed before I did it. I didn't like doing it, but the animal was suffering. So while I finished killing it because it was left half dead, I, sat there and prayed to God to forgive me for taking its life. I saw an animal half kill a squirrel and leave it suffering. And it was in the sun and it was baking at the same time. And it was a bad head injury. You could see the things had gone into the head. So I sat there and I got a towel and I picked the little squirrel up and he cried. And I put him where he could die, what he knew, to have nature around him. I was telling a story. Yeah, that would bother me because I hear a lot of young, dark people saying that word, and they really, that's not even a word, really. And people don't know that. It's not a word. And they only got it because, what was the word? Oh, God. A white man was trying to describe a ruler, and he was answering to his ruler, the king. And he said, well, what does he look like? And they have a word, and it's called, it's a Latin word that means of a darker hue, nothing else. He was only describing what the man looked like. So this guy would know when he sees the person, that's the person he's supposed to be talking with. And, but Niger is not a word. It's not. They might try making it a word, but it's not. Oh, and pinto beans? Oh, yes. Okay, now you're talking. So that's how I learned that because that history wasn't taught to me in Texas because that Nigger was very common. That's why I was having problems in the South because I don't see it that way. And but that's where the word, and they just slanged it up, but it's not the original. What is that word? It's a Latin word. It's a color. It's actually color, you know? I can't say it any other way. Oh, please. Now what? I had my coffee. Look how fast this bread rises. This thing is going to cook up in no time. That's all any of us can do, one day at a time. It's a color. Yeah, I know it's a color. That's all it is. But he was trying to describe the ruler of it. That's why he used the word. And as some idiots decided, they're going to take it further. And that's the way it is. So I don't even buy new dictionaries. I refuse to buy new dictionaries because we have to cut this in two. I'm going to pinch it in two pieces, okay? Try to get them level. I try, but I never do. But anyway, the effort is there. So these are going to be in the oven very, very fast. All right. You're going to flatten this out into a rectangle. And I tell you what, I do see a lot of, it looks like we're having a civil war. My son said, how could you see that? I said, well, you had the North and the South in the Civil War. Now we have the Democrats and Republicans. I said, it looks like we're having a lovely civil war. I don't know if it's going to get real violent and tear the country in two. But I said, I see it like a civil war. That's what we're having. You know? And I think it was fed when they started I remember when they brought foreign teachers into America. They can't teach democracy. They can't teach a constitutional republic because they didn't grow up in it. So they might understand the words, but it breathes inside of the Americans. Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, I'm going to turn the heat on. These things are going to rise, so we'll get the oven going. You can see it's already packed, and they want it in an 8x4. I can see it flowing over, and I have a mess. So I'm going to get this oven hot because it's going to rise quickly. That's too big of a piece of mashed yam. So I don't think we should have foreign teachers in this country, not even at the college level. I think we should only have Americans teaching our children and in college. Because you can see how it's damaging the people. And people were so disgusted with the people in New York running for mayor, we ended up with a communist. He can call himself a socialist, but he's a communist. We had a snowstorm. Now, we knew the streets would be cleaned and the sanitation would be picked up in the metropolitan area. The snow was piled high up here. Trash is all over the place. Of course, where he's living is nice and clean and picked up and everything. So the people who voted for him, which I did not, will have to deal with this because he doesn't have my vote. And as far as I'm concerned, a Southern thing is tar and feather him and get him the hell out of this country. Well, that's because the women left because they didn't think it was important to teach the young people. I remember when all this happened. All my teachers were American. I know about the Constitution. I know how Americans feel. I couldn't even call myself an American until I became an adult because a child is not an American. A child is a child of the parents until they raise them. Then when they raise them, become an adult, then they are an American citizen because they've been raised in the ways of Americans. You see, my parents were very good about that. We're making some bread right now, but we're going to make waffles and breakfast sausages. Done. Let's see where this bread is going to cook at. And it's rising very fast. All right, I did that. Kind of found it down. Yes. 400. All right, I'm going to set my oven at 400 for this bread because it's moving too fast. The towels, we'll cover them up. No, they're rising really fast. All right, we need an egg. Okay, we need an egg. What else do they want me to brush this with? I did that. What's the egg wash do you want? Okay. It's a tablespoon of milk. And a tablespoon of milk. Still trying to think of that word. I can't think of that word. God, I know it any other time of the day. I will mention something else that happened at school. And my husband got very angry. I know this might offend some of you, but this really happened and really pissed us off. One of my sons did something he shouldn't have done in school. And we were informed by the teacher, okay? And I have to beat this till the eggs is done. Well, anyway, I had gone into shop. No, I didn't. Where did I go? Genevieve's. I had to pick something up because I got the wrong thing for school for them. And my husband was outside with him. My husband's a Vietnam veteran. Well, was. He's dead now. And he was scolding. And this really ticked us both off. We were very angry about this. He was outside scolding him and telling him that he's not supposed to do that. He said, but, no, you don't do things like that at school. But he said, you don't pull your pants down and show your dingling to any female. Do you understand me? That's what he did. Because the little girl said he was a girl. He said, no, I'm a boy. So he pulled his pants down. The teacher told us, and he was correcting him. And a white woman came in to Genevieve's, and she said, call the police. There is a black man terrorizing a little white boy. I said, excuse me, does he have a black Vietnam hat on with a cane? because my husband, because he served, he was disabled. She said, yeah. And I said, big, about so tall and this. I said, that's my husband you're talking about. And if you knew what our son did, your husband would be scolding him as well as my husband's. That's my son and my husband. And she tried to say, oh, I'm so sorry. There was no way she could say she was a racist. She didn't see an adult. And if she took a good look at him, she could see that he looked like his father and I. But she jumped the gun, not thinking, and it made an assumption, which was wrong all the way around. And I put her in her place. She had no right to do that, you know? Oh, yeah, we're having that right now. I don't care what you say, John. The democracy in a constitutional republic, they don't feel it. If they don't feel it, they can't understand it, okay? I can teach. What do you want? I can just, okay, we'll talk about communism. Well, communism is they own everything and they dictate what you're going to do in your life, okay? They'll tell you how much you can have and what you can't have. Of course, they can have the mansion, all the food on the table, and all the heat and everything else. Socialism is the first step of heading into communism, all right? They start to control, and they say you can have this free, that free, and everything else. The mayor said, get free on the buses and traveling, public transportation. Well, there's a big problem there. The money the transportation makes pays those workers to keep those trains running, to keep the buses running, the drivers, all of that, and make sure they're on schedule. So if you can make it free, they don't have any money. He says tax the wealthy in New York. Well, that's interesting that he wants the wealthy to carry the poor because he's very wealthy, and but don't touch his money, but he's willing to touch everybody else's money. This is the kind of mayor that we have. The sanitation, you pay taxes because they pick up that, they clean those streets and they sit there and they take the garbage and they clean up the mess to keep the city as clean as they can. All right. So now we have a mayor. He says, well, you can clean around my Macy's, where the stupid mayor lives, like Gracie Mansion. But my trash hasn't been picked up for a week. And if you go into the city, the snow is up to here and trash is all over the street, bags of it. So we're going to end up with a rat infestation. And then we're going to end up the rats. If they can't get to the food or you come at them and they feel threatened, they're going to bite. We're going to be in trouble. Rabies is going to be going around. We got a nice city, don't we? So I can talk about socialism. Do I understand communism completely? No, I don't. But I have an understanding that the government does the controlling and dictates what everybody gets. But in a constitutional republic, nothing overrides the Constitution. And if I do something wrong, I pay the price. If I want something, I make it. I take responsibility for my life. And if I want something, I work for what I want. I don't go around going to the government and begging, please, I need this. And then they look at you and say, well, I decide, you'll get this little bit and you're going to have to make it work. Okay? So I do understand. Though I'm not a communist, I'm not a socialist. The thing is that I understand my government and what it means for me. You see, as an American. But I also know when I go to other countries, I have to respect their government and their rule of law. So I have learned that as well. So don't tell me that a foreigner can teach our way of life. They can't, unless they live it, and they don't. You're just wearing blindfolds. That's all you're doing because you're probably young, but you need to have gone through this. I remember when we had American teachers, and I saw it change, and I told Tony, this is a bad thing that's happening. I've got almost 73 years, just a little bit longer, I'll be 73 years of how life was, how it is, and what's going on. So don't tell me, because I'm not going to listen to you. we need to throw everybody out of this country who is not an American at this point, because we have to clean house. I was taught very simple. You don't have people in your homes. And I couldn't understand it. And why was my government teacher telling me this? You know, these were lessons I learned at school. He said, when you bring people in and they don't give to the country and they take, they destroy. If you have them in your home and they do what they want and make a mess of your place, they don't clean up, they leave trash, and they don't do repairs and stuff, you end up losing your home. It becomes nothing. It needs to be torn down. The same thing happens when you have a lot of people coming into your country and you don't sit there and you have to check them out before you let them in. You can let people in, but the thing is you control it. Government has to do this to protect us, but we're drowning this country. And you know, it was funny because I had read a prophecy that had sat there and say, woe is to the great whore, America. And I said, I could see why they would say that to us, that the world would mourn for the great city that will fall into the ocean. Woe to the blessings that will be taken away. And it's happening. It really is. I'm an American. Hi, Joe. See if they'll take you, Sean. I don't know. Yeah, we are Americans, and we're different. And people admire us, but now they're just taking from us. That's why our welfare and Social Security and veterans benefits and all we're draining the government because we're carrying all these people. And we're not supposed to. Social Security is for Americans, not for people who pay taxes. They're for the Americans in retirement. Welfare was only for World War II, before we got into the war, because the country had gone into a depression. There was no work or anything. So to help these families get back on their feet, they did welfare. But the government liked this control of handing money out, and so they made it a permanent part of our government. It's not supposed to be. Okay? And remember, up to 1913, we were not paying taxes on anything. All the money you earned was yours and yours alone. Now, when they got the National Bank, the government realized they could go there and take a loan and take as much money, and they would get this money, and it's your money they're spending. You better think about it. I had to learn all this in school. This is all school history and what I've lived through. So I'm not talking from the cuff. I've experienced it and I've lived through it, if you like it or not. Okay, so, well, if they get rid of the illegals, all right, these jobs are going to come opening, and then we'd be able to get welfare working, and then we get America back on her feet, then everybody's working. Then that would take a lot of stress off of the welfare, and that would take stress off Social Security and the veterans. And for the men who serve when they're wounded, we'd be better set in a better situation, you see. And if we buy American instead of buying from overseas their stuff, we would also find that we would be employing Americans. So it's like a circle going completely around. And this is what we have to do. When we can do that and we quit buying from overseas and we quit buying and doing these things, get the illegals out and get the welfare working, we would have it for ourselves, which we need. We're generous. If you want to give some of your money away to another country or something, that is your choice. But for the government to do it and say you're going to pay taxes and you're going to pay for what we're doing, no. Oh, I didn't see a lot of television. Okay, we have to watch this bread. It's really, It's rising so fast. I know this is a long video and we're talking at the same time, but I've got some dishes to do, so I've got the oven on and I'll chat while I'm doing dishes, but I've got to get some of these done, if you like it or not. I can't maneuver in this kitchen. I'm not really into politics, but what? No, it's always, we have to clean house. When he sat there and said that he wants us to take the homeless in, I said, what I said, well, I wasn't very ladylike with what I said. I said, H-E-L-L, no, I am not opening my home to people who will destroy it. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, I make garlic bread. No. Well, anyway, these were things that I was taught. When we saw what our children were being taught, we took them out of school. We did IHIP, Individual Instruction Plan. We taught them at home. And they're very patriotic, you know. Well, it's not politics I talk about. What I talk about is my schooling, the way I was taught. I remember him saying, who could teach communism better, a communist or an American? I said, well, a communist would. You know, we were taught to see that, to understand that. You have to be raised in a country to understand the country. Yeah, I think some parents should go back to IHIP, Individual Home Instruction Plan. I think it's better for the children. They're more responsible. They don't have excuses. Listen, every time I got whipped, it was because I knew better. So I took responsibility for myself. I don't need the government to take responsibility for me. I take responsibility for myself. If I do something wrong and I don't understand it, well, please tell me, you know, and I'll straighten the mess out if I've done something wrong. That's how I look at it. But I got enough of things to keep me straight, as they say. But we were all punished. I remember BCW. They drug us through courts because we were teaching our children at home. But we had the federal law that said we had that right. And they were on our case every day. Happy birthday, Charles. No, I talk about things the way I was taught, things that I see. I'm old enough and been on this earth long enough. I remember, my grandmother used to say that. I've been on this earth long enough and I'm old enough to know what I'm talking about, Sandy. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm live. I know that. Sean, why is yours green? Listen, you can talk about a lot of things. Right now, I've got a bread rising, and it's rising very, very quickly, so it looks like this is going to be 2 hours. I didn't want it to be, but we're just talking about things. Let me get this bread in. I'll show you how fast it's rising. Hold on. You see that? It wasn't there. So let's see how this goes. I gotta pull you back. Hold on. How do you want me to do this? Till an hour, it'll be over an hour. Okay. They want us, we're going to be putting them in the oven in a few minutes. We're going to bake them 20 minutes. Then we're going to take the egg wash and work with it. And that's pretty much it. Oh, is that why it works? Oh, okay. See, I don't know these things. So when you guys tell me something, I say, oh, okay. Didn't know that either. But I'm still learning. I'm learning a lot of things. But I talk about things that I had learned. I had to go to SNAP benefits when I was in between jobs. I wanted to see. Yeah, Catholic charities have been very good. I've seen them. My son said that older people, Sandy, Mommy, they're protesting. I said, what? He said, yeah, they're out there. And I said, what? I said, it's just like women's liberation. Jane Fonda thought she was doing something new. No, they didn't teach us the suffrage movement. I knew it. They didn't. Like everybody wants to be as skinny as a rail. And they diet during pregnancy and stuff, and then they have bladder. They lose bladder control, and they wonder why. Now they're sitting there, instead of fixing the problem, they cover it up by saying, buy these panties or put pads there. But that's not fixing the problem. That's trying to cover it up. It's just like women wearing makeup. They wear makeup to cover up because they don't want you to see them. It's like fake. Makeup is to enhance. It is not to cover up. Yes, they do. And we never watched the Phil show. Hi, George from Chicago. Kathy. Yeah. But welfare was only a temporary fix. And then when we went to war, women went into the workforce so the men could go fight. And that was what it was. But they liked the idea of making money. Some families came together, but that was the beginning of the breakup of the family. Like now, the government tells you how to raise your children. Now, I'm not saying there isn't child abuse, okay? I won't say that because there are some parents that will abuse their children. But The government has no right to set limits. This is a double-edged sword that I'm talking about here, okay? We all know that there are people that do abuse children. And the government has no right to get involved. I'm sorry. But it's a double-edged sword because you want to protect the children that are in a really bad circumstance. At the same time, you don't want them to take your rights away of being in a state of being and raising your family with your morals, right? So, hi George, Kathy. I think if we don't pull our, Adrian, you're asking me, modern day. I think if we don't pull our heads out of our backsides and get our house in order, when I say house, I'm talking about the whole country. We can't help anybody till we get ourselves together. And you don't have to help. They say a Christian, a good Christian thing to help. Helping is one thing. When they're destroying, it's another. Yeah, Gallagher. So there are some points where I could see it's a double-edged sword. Good and bad. All right? And that's a difficult line for me to walk on some of them. But everybody wants laws. I think everybody should learn to take responsibility for their actions, you know? Do something instead of whining and crying about it and trying to get out of it and saying you're innocent when you're not. Deal with what you've done and move forward. Pay the price. Like I said, if I make a mistake, tell me, explain to me what I've done, and then tell me how do I, correct it or something. This is me. I'm just that type of person. But if I can't see it, I ain't doing it. It's just as simple as that. I know charity because I grew up, my mother taught me in the church to help people lesser than I am. And I also learned it's not so much money as much as it is sometimes they need a kind ear to hear them. Just to hear that they're human. There's somebody to care. Giving a smile down the street can go so far. And people don't think about that. But these are morals and things like that. So I can see how a lot of people are brainwashed. And don't get me started with the news. I wouldn't talk to a news person. All right, you want to talk about abortions? Okay. I had a natural abortion. There was something wrong with the fetus, the baby really, and it died. I was 7 months along. That hurt so bad. I didn't think anything could hurt that bad. All right. I don't believe that women should go and have abortions. It's not her body. It's her body up to the point when she gets pregnant, okay? I'm sorry. The only way I see abortion is incest, rape, or the health of the mother. Her life or the baby's. That I agree with. Abortions are then necessary, all right? Or then you end up with problems. Other than that, I don't see it. I can't. Because she says it's her body, my choice. Sure. Let's really talk about it. You're not going to like this. I know a lot of women are not going to like it. keep your fucking legs together, or go get birth control, or get a diaphragm, or ID, or D, whatever that thing is, to prevent having children, and then do what you want. Okay? But just in the heat of the moment, he doesn't have a condom. I don't know one man who doesn't, and he's single, and he doesn't have a condom in his wallet. Please. I've got sons. I know they have them. Okay? I don't have to go in their wallet. I know they're there. Let's be sensible. In the heat of the moment, you have no excuse. So once you got pregnant, it's no longer your body, your choice, because you're carrying a life then. And you called it a clump of cells. Well, let me tell you something. We are all a clump of cells. The food that we eat are cells. Your body is a clump of cells. You think about it. There's nothing out there. Even the insects are clumps of cells. Everything's are cells. Might be different, but they're cells. So therefore, all right, if you call it a clump of cells and you can have an abortion, then you could walk down the street and kill somebody just because you don't like them. Just as simple as that. I'm going to take a gun and blow your head off. Okay. You're nothing but a clump of cells. Think. She doesn't want to take responsibilities, and he didn't have time to go to a public bathroom. I don't know if they have it now, but they used to have it in the male's bathroom, a dispenser to give condoms out to prevent birth. Okay? So you have no excuse. Now, a child that is raped, or a woman who is beaten up and she's really bad, she was fighting for her life and she's pregnant, she has every right to get an abortion. You rape a child, that child, you have to get rid of the child. If the mother's life is in danger, you're going to have to take the child. Sorry, this is how I feel. Incest, a brother and sister, you end up with children that are very, very deformed and a handful of mental issues and physical disabilities. Get rid of it. This is how I see, and this might offend women, but you either keep your legs together, but you have no excuse to sit there and say, my body, my choice. Sure, it's your body and your choice, but once that life starts growing, it's not your choice anymore. Because if it's your body and you can kill that baby, then everybody can walk down the street and start killing everybody they dislike. Okay? If you like it or not. And I know it offends people, and you know what? That's how I feel. All right, I'm going to put these breads on. They're rising. You can see they're way up there. We got to get them in. Now we're going to cook these for 20 minutes. And then we're going to brush them down with the egg mixture here, the egg and the milk. And then we're going to bake them another 20 minutes. No, it's not my responsibility with the condoms. My responsibility would be for birth control, the IUD, or the diaphragm. It's the men's choice for the condoms. Sorry. As my father said, and I heard him say this, and I was in my bedroom. He told me to go to my bedroom. He told my brothers, that's your cup, it's your responsibility. The soul is no longer there. It's just a body. The soul is already gone when you go on that life support like that. The soul is gone and you're just looking at a body. So yeah, babies are very precious. Okay, so these are some things, the way I was raised. It might sound very conservative. That's how I feel. Okay? 20 minutes, center clock at 27, 37, 47. 47, that'll be half done and we'll have to brush it down. So, Danes, what are you talking about, Gallagher? I guess you'd say I was the hippie generation, but I was a conservative hippie. I guess that's my time frame. It'd be. No, men have the condoms. The women have the diaphragm. They have birth control, and they have the IUD or the IDU, whatever it is they put in you. So I know I can offend a lot of people with what I say or think. One of my girlfriends, she won't even talk to me anymore because I didn't agree with something she said, but I have my own thoughts, my own ways, you know? And it's just that way. People like that. Not everybody's going to think the same about everything. I'm sure I say things that some people say, right on, I agree. And I'll say other things you say, no, I really don't agree with that. So, you know, but you have to realize everybody is different. And that's how I look at it. Now, see, I had a lot of people watching. Now it says only 19. So I might have offended a lot. Well, anyway, the ones who will pay the price, if it goes the way prophecy says it's going to go, we are going to lose about 2/3 of America is going under, and in water. We're actually going to be ripped apart, and the people that are left in America will be brought into slavery. That's a prophecy. That's not me. That is a prophecy. The only thing I tell God is, please not in my time. Let me leave this earth first. You know? Yeah, well, if you don't want to bring a soul into the world, then you sit there and make sure you don't. If you're a woman, you have 3 options. If you're a man, you've got 1. Well, no, some men are doing something to where they can't get a woman pregnant at all. I don't know what that is. It's some sort of test, surgery that you have to have. I don't know what it is. Stuff up. I'm trying to get my kitchen in order for dinner. Okay, got that. Got this. Okay, am I gonna leave them? No. So see, we can talk about and disagree about things, but that's Americans, and this is how we are. It actually came from an ARE reading. The thing is he said that the financial district was going to leave. He said this in the 1920s or 1930s. He said it will come and it will move across the river, and that's Wall Street. You know, the financial district, the stocks and bonds and stuff. They're going to leave New York City. Yeah, it's a crime. It's a crime. I'm not wise. I don't consider myself wise. I really don't. I don't think I'm anybody special. I'm just a person living my life, trying to be the best that I can. But that prophecy said that well, he said Wall Street. It doesn't mean the name Wall Street. It means the financial district is supposed to leave New York City. They said New York City will become a ghetto. Association for Research and Enlightenment. You have to become a member. I think it's $2,000 to become a member or a life member, and you get a hold of the readings, and it's all in there. So and I just heard that the financial district, they're looking for a home in Texas. Well, I said, well, that is across the river because Manhattan is an island, and you know, and with this guy in as mayor, I'm already seeing the breakdown of the city. So I could see it could become a welfare place. Just a guttural place to live. Thank God I live on the outskirts. What else did Casey say? God, he said so much, but those two stood out. But he said, when he said, he cried out and he said, the angels, woe for the great whore. And I said, okay. I didn't know who it was talking about at the time. And he said, he mentioned the West Coast, the East Coast. Texas is losing a foot of land every 10 years, which I knew when I was younger. And he talked about the South disappearing. He's talked about, well, Casey talked about a lot of things. He also gave a lot of medical information to help you, to help people and how you could naturally do things. He did readings on souls. He actually described previous lives. He did a lot. He was also thrown in jail. They said he was practicing medicine without a license. He wasn't. He was just giving readings. That's all he was doing. And he won all the cases. But he only had a 6th grade education, but he had a beautiful photographer's eye. He really knew how to take pictures. No, he says it's going to be in 3 parts. What Casey seemed to say is the first part, when California drops off, we would think that we would get our heads together. But it seems no, because this is my belief now. If you sit there and murder and get abortions just to do them and not care, and you sit there and you destroy your body the way these transgenders are doing, trying to change their sex, and then the other people who rebuild their whole structures like wild animals and everything, this is not respect of what God gave you. Like I said, this is my personal opinion. I don't condemn them, but as far as I'm concerned, they have gone so far against God and God's law. Am I up there and perfect? No, believe you me, I am not. But I think I always try to be better every day. But doing things like that to your body, or taking a lot of drugs and not being responsible, or doing all of these things that we're doing now and staying drunk and high. He said, well, I'm going to be high. If I'm going to die, I'm going to go that way, and all these things. I think it's a lot against God, and the destruction of the lands that we are doing and everything else we're actually causing. And you can see the separation there. We are condemning ourselves, is how I see it. So I could see God getting pretty angry, because if I brought children, and think about it, if I brought some beautiful children into the world and I gave them, they ate well, they were cared for, they were intelligent, they were given not everything, but they were, let's say, raised right, and they had doors open and everything else. And instead they go into drugs, deforming their bodies, having what we call bastards. Don't get upset, bastards just means a fatherless child. The father doesn't stick around and all. That would bring a great shame. Or becoming a whore, or if you want to say a gigolo for a man, I would say, I don't think any parent would want that for their children, or to see them in jail. and stuff, or running in gangs, violent gangs and stuff. I think that's a disgrace. So if I would feel that way, I would think, just imagine what we're doing on a massive level here, how God feels that he gave this earth as a playground for us, to see the animals and play with them, be able to talk with them and do all these things. And we destroying it left and right. And now the sins that we have committed have gone to the animals, to the trees, to the plants, to Mother Earth. And we're doing this. So I know how I would feel if my child came and I found out that they were a prostitute or a whore. I know how I would feel if they became an addict. So you can imagine on a larger scale, you can imagine how God feels. And that's how I look at it, like that. Okay, Galdar, get some rest. Yes, he was a clairvoyant. I don't think I could disown him. No, I could not disown my children. I'll punish them severely, because if they've gone that way, I'd be disappointed in them, heartbroken, and I would cry. But no, I would never disown them. Hi, Gwen. So I would not disown my child. I don't like some things that they do sometimes. I can talk to them. I give them logic, and I bring it forward. I said, look, I want you to know this. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm going to give you this knowledge, I can't. I have a gay son. I can't. I can't disown him. But when he comes in and he'll sit there and say, oh, so and so was just so cute. I said, stop it, That's it. No, that is a male. You give him the adjectives to describe him as a man. And I don't like it when they bring it into the public. What goes on in the bedroom should stay in the bedroom between the people. Okay, that's how I feel. Okay. All right, I put it in. Okay. It's almost time for us to do it. The bread. We are cooking, believe it or not. We did make bread, but while we were waiting for the bread and I was doing dishes, they started asking me questions, so we got into some talking corn. So we're cooking and we're going to be making waffles. I'm going to be making another live later. No, I'm not done cooking. Don't worry about it. I still have more to do. I knew this was going to go high. Try to tell me I didn't know my business. Okay, we have to brush these now. I gotta put this up. I'm gonna burn myself. Okay. Oh yeah, you're gonna go over the edge, mess my oven up. There's one more thing I have to do. Okay, that's it. It's Gotta cook another 20 minutes and we're done. I'll probably leave mine in a little longer than that. Yes, I have. I made bagels one time. And they were good, I have to say. Yeah, he forgives us. God does forgive us. But when he's angry, we pay for it. A lot of people are afraid, which I think this is interesting. All right, I took swimming lessons as a girl. I cannot swim, and I had 3 years of swimming lessons. I'm the most uncoordinated person in water. If I have to swim, I'll probably drown. And I think a lot of people are afraid when it rains and stuff, especially when the winds pick up and the rain's heavy. I think these are people that died in the flood when God flooded the earth. And that's our memory clicking in. And you know something? Sometimes people have to be frightened to pull their heads out of their backsides and get some common sense. And I think that. I mean, I had to be scared straight. Oh, I got scared straight. Believe in me. You don't have to worry about me. Okay. Listen, it's going to be cooking for another 20 minutes, and then the bread will be done. But look, this is over 2.5 hours of us talking and waiting for the bread to rise. And I still I've got to take the dirty clothes out, and God. Okay? So listen, I'm going to let all of you go. And Matthew, if you don't have anything to say and you're not going to speak the truth of something that you feel, you shouldn't condemn people who believe in things that they believe. I was raised a certain way, and believe you me, I'm thankful for all the whippings and spankings and beatings my mother gave me. They kept me straight. Oh no, don't. Oh, all right. Jay's in. It's not 144,000. It's like sifting. The first group will only add up to 144,000, all right? Then punishments are going to come, all right? After so many punishments, those that repent is the second batch that will be taken. I don't know how many that'll be. Then there'll be worse punishments. Each punishment will be worse and worse. And those that repent, not just saying I repent, but actually repent, they will be taken. And this goes on batches after batches after batches. Now, when the final bit of, well, you could call sifting like sifting flour like 10, 20 times and everything else. When they get to the final, most horrific punishment of all, and nobody repents, those are the ones that will be thrown into hell. All right. So it's not just 144,000. Those are the first to go who will not receive any punishment. Then the second batch, there'll be punishments and people will repent. Certain amount of people will repent and they go to heaven. But they're talking about the first set that goes. It'll be more than 144,000. So if you're not one of the first, you could be the second or the third or the fourth. But the ones who are totally against God, his creation, and everything else, they will get all of the punishments. Now, if you've only made a few mistakes, you only go through a little bit of the punishment. But remember, each punishment will get worse and worse and worse until finally he clears out all that evil. And then that evil, then he will give the angel the key, because hell isn't here yet. It's locked up. If you know your Bible, the key will be opened. He will give the key to the angel and tell the angel to open hell's gates. Then those souls that totally, absolutely defy God through the whole punishment and everything, that's evil, they will go into hell and they will be locked up for 1,000 years. So they'll have 1,000 years of severe punishment. Then God will unlock and let them out for a little while, hoping and praying that they sit there and will repent. If they don't, then they get locked up for eternity. Now, he also says that he'll give us a new heaven and a new earth. So we have that to look forward to as well. This earth will probably die, and and because we're souls, the body dies, the souls, we don't have to worry about. I hope that answers. This is how I see it, and I've learned. Okay? You're welcome. Armstrong was another person I listened to before he died, and it was known as the Plain Truth, which was very interesting. You could get some of that information from there. The ARE gave a lot of information as well from this, and some of it, I don't like talking about that part. But anyway, that can get you started on it to give you an understanding of it. So it's been a lot that I've gone through, and I have I think it's the 1611 Bible. The first one, they printed up so many, it cost a pretty penny too. Put myself in debt for that one. And so in that aspect, remember it's 2 after, Sandy, before you forget yourself. So go there and check it. I don't know how Plain Truth is now since Armstrong died. I can't answer that. You'd have to then check it to make sure. But it was the ARE and the Plain Truth and my Christian upbringing and the spiritual things that I knew. I sort of came with a gift, okay, as they say. Nina, happy birthday. Everybody wish Nina happy birthday. I know we don't have kings in this country, though this mayor thinks he's one. You don't have to tell me that. I am an American. Anyway, that is a lot of talking that we did today while the bread was rising and I was doing dishes, and I still got more dishes to do. They're still in the sink, and I've got the drain board full. So listen, I'm going to let you go. I will be back later because I have to make waffles, and I'm going to have breakfast sausages. Now mine are not packed in casing, so I'm going to be making little patties and cooking them in butter. But I want all of you to take care for now, and I'll be back. I mean, you got the food apron. We are doing food. We were waiting for the bread to rise, and they ask questions, so I try to answer questions as much as I can. But remember, when I talk about my faith, it's how I see it and understand it with answers and being gifted. I have that extra insight. For me, I'm not telling anybody to believe the way I do. I'm not asking anybody to change their religion or anything else. You're asking me how I perceive, so I tell you how I perceive. As for the politics that we talked about, you asked me, and I let you know. One person said, please don't use that word again, but I was trying to remember the right word and why the word became slang. It wasn't to offend anybody, and if I have, I do apologize. But when you talk about the way we were raised and my time frame and stuff, these things went on. They're real realities, okay? But take care for now. That bread's smelling good. I'll see you after a bit. Bye. Okay.